The worst idea in the history of medicine saved millions of lives. For 2000 years, everyone knew what made you sick. Not germs. Nobody had ever seen a germ. It was the smell, bad air, a rotten cloud creeping out of swamps and sick bodies, killing whoever breathed it. Every doctor believed it, every king believed it, and they were completely wrong. And being wrong is the reason you're alive. The smell never hurt anyone, chasing it saved the world. So why did doctors dress as birds, with beaks full of flowers? Why did every powerful man in England run from one summer smell? Why would a scientist drink a glass of cholera on purpose? And how did the wrong answer end up cleaning the whole world? By the end, you'll see it. Being wrong is what saved your life. The logic is simple. If a bad smell makes you sick, then a good smell must keep you safe. So when the plague came, doctors wore a mask shaped like a bird's beak and stuffed the beak full of flowers. Lavender, mint, rose petals. The bad air had to crawl through all that sweetness before it reached the nose. The rich carried little balls of perfume and held them to their faces in the street. Perfume was not for smelling nice, it was medicine. And when the smell got really bad, the finest doctors alive gave one last piece of advice. Run. Live fast, go far, come back late. That was real medical advice for centuries. When plague hit, everyone who could afford to just left, abandoning their homes to escape the bad air. Whole towns emptied, the best minds alive, against the deadliest things they knew, and their plan was to run. And this was no passing fashion. The title says 300 years. That is me being kind. 2000 years. The bad air idea goes all the way back to the ancient Greeks, who invented medicine itself. And here is how you know it never left. There is a disease you can name right now that is built entirely out of this mistake. Malaria, aria. In Old Italian it means bad air. People caught it near swamps, so they blame the swamp air. And the name stuck. It is really carried by mosquitoes. The name is a fossil, a 2000-year-old wrong answer still sitting in your mouth. For all those centuries, nobody could prove it wrong. Then, one man in London picked up a pen and started drawing dots. 1854, Soho, London. Cholera breaks out and it is fast. Hundreds dead in days. Everyone blames the smell. The neighborhood reeks. But one doctor, John Snow, does not buy it. Instead of sniffing the air, he walks the streets and marks every single death as a dot on a map. And the dots do not drift the way a smell would. They pile up thick and tight around one thing. A single water pump on Broad Street. But a mop full of dots is not proof. What turned it into proof were two people who broke the pattern. Right next to the pump stood a brewery. Dozens of workers breathed the same stinking air as the dead. Not one got sick. Why? They drank beer all day and never touched the water. And miles away, out in the clean country air, a woman dropped dead of cholera anyway. She had loved the taste of that pump, and had bottles carted out to her every week. Her niece visited, drank a glass, and died too. Same water, totally different air. It was never the air, it was the water. Snow got the officials to take the handle off the pump. And here is what everyone gets wrong. Pulling the handle did not stop the outbreak. It was already fading, because most of the street had fled. The officials decided he was probably wrong anyway, and went back to blaming the air. He was just quietly, completely right. 30 years too early. So the world kept chasing the smell. Until one hot summer it came for the most powerful man in the country. London. Summer. The Thames has become one giant open sewer, because everything the city flushes ends up in it. The heat cooks the river, and the smell is so bad it earns a name, the Great Stink. And Parliament sits right on the river bank. The most powerful men in the empire are gagging at their desks, soaking the curtains in chemicals just to get through the day, certain the stink is about to poison them all. So they move faster than any government before or since. In 18 days they pass a law to build London a whole new sewer system. They did it to escape a smell. What they actually built, nobody in that room intended. They handed the job to an engineer named Bazalgette, and he built something enormous, mile after mile of brick tunnels under the streets, so well made they still carry London's sewage today. The goal was simple, get the smell out of the city, but look what happened. By carrying the waste away from the river, they pulled the filth out of the water people were drinking. And the cholera, the real killer, riding along in that water, lost its road in. The dying stopped. They had cured the disease, for completely the wrong reason. And it was not only London. One woman carried the same wrong idea into the hospitals and became a legend for it. Florence Nightingale. You know the name? What you probably do not know is that she believed in bad air her whole life, even after it was disproven, but that wrong belief told her to do all the right things. To beat the smell, she flung open every window for fresh air. She scrubbed the wards until they shone. She burned the fields and boiled the sheets. And the soldiers, who had been dying in heaps, stopped dying. Then she did something clever. To prove that clean beats filthy, she drew a picture out of the numbers. A bright fan of cultured wedges showing how many more men were killed by dirt than by enemy bullets. One of the first charts ever used to win an argument. Wrong about why, completely right about what to do. Because this is the pattern everywhere you look. A man named Chadwick had pushed the same plan onto the whole country. Drain the cities, clear the waste, wash the streets, banish the smell. Pure bad air sinking, and every time they chased that smell, flushing a sewer, cleaning a well, they were scrubbing away the real enemy they could not even see. The germs were hiding in the same fields as the stink. Kill the smell and you kill the germ by accident every time. Wrong about the enemy, right about the war, but a wrong idea cannot hide forever. Two men with microscopes were about to find the real killer, and the believers were not going to go quietly. Their names were Pasteur and Koch. And they found it. The thing too small to see. Not air, living germs. Koch even scooped the cholera germ right out of the water, exactly where Snow's dots had pointed 30 years before. Case closed. Except the believers refused to fold. One of the most respected scientists in Europe was so sure it was the air, not the germ, that he took a glass of live cholera, enough to kill a roomful of people, and drank it, in front of witnesses, to prove it was harmless without the bad air around it. He got sick, he got lucky, he survived, and announced that he had won. He had not. They had all been wrong for 2000 years. And that is the best part of this whole story. They were wrong about the smell, but because they were so scared of it, they built the sewers, they cleaned the water, they scrubbed the hospitals and threw open the windows. And those things, the actions and not the theory, are what beat the great killers that used to empty whole cities. A completely wrong idea did more good than almost any right one ever has. It cleaned up the entire world by accident, and it left you a souvenir. Every time you say the word malaria, you are speaking a 2000-year-old mistake out loud. Bad air. The smell never hurt anyone. Chasing it saved the world. And now you know why.